The rain hit Seoul like angry fists. Han Woo-jin pulled his thin jacket closer as he walked through the empty construction site. He had no job, no money, and nowhere else to go. The old building project had been stopped for months, leaving only concrete and metal scattered around like broken dreams. Lightning split the dark sky. In that bright flash, Woo-jin saw something strange. A small crater sat in the middle of the construction yard, smoking and glowing with soft blue light. He had walked this way many times before. The crater was new. Woo-jin moved closer, his shoes splashing in the muddy water. Inside the crater was a pod made of some kind of crystal. It was cracked open like an egg. Steam rose from inside it, and he could hear a soft sound, like crying. He knelt down and looked inside. There was a small creature no bigger than a kitten. It had scales that changed color in the strange light. 2 tiny wings lay folded against its back. Silver blood leaked from cuts on its body. The creature looked up at Woo-jin with large, bright eyes that seemed too smart for such a small thing. When Woo-jin reached out to touch it, something amazing happened. Their minds connected. Suddenly, Woo-jin could feel what the creature felt. Pain, fear, but also hope. Words formed in his head, but not in Korean or any human language. They were thoughts, pure and clear. "Help me," the creature said inside his mind. "I am alone. My family is gone." Woo-jin's hands shook as he carefully picked up the wounded creature. It was warm and light, like holding a living jewel. More thoughts flowed between them. The creature's name was Gyeom, which meant gold in Korean. But Gyeom was not from Earth. He came from a place called the Solaris system, far away among the stars. "My people," Gyeom whispered in Woo-jin's mind. "They are all dead. Machines killed them. Bad machines that hate all living things. I escaped. But my ship is broken. I cannot go home because there is no home left." Woo-jin felt tears on his face. But they were not just his tears. Through their connection, he felt Gyeom's sadness like a heavy weight in his chest. But he also felt something else. Gyeom was not evil or dangerous. He was just a child, lost and afraid. "I will help you," Woo-jin said out loud. Gyeom's eyes brightened, and warmth spread through their mental link. Woo-jin took off his jacket and wrapped Gyeom in it. The creature was so small that he fit easily in Woo-jin's arms. As they left the construction site, Woo-jin did not see the small devices that had been watching from the shadows. Government satellites had detected the energy signature when Gyeom's pod crashed. People in dark suits were already on their way. Woo-jin's apartment was tiny and poor, but it was warm and dry. He lived there with his younger sister Han Bo-ra, who was studying to be a veterinarian. She was reading her textbooks when Woo-jin came in, soaking wet and carrying something under his jacket. "What is that?" Bo-ra asked. Then Woo-jin opened his jacket, and she saw Gyeom. Her textbook fell to the floor. "It's not a cat," she said, staring at the scaled creature. "No," Woo-jin agreed. "He's from space. His name is Gyeom, and he's hurt." Bo-ra looked at her brother like he had gone crazy. But then Gyeom opened his large eyes and looked right at her. When he made a small, sad sound, her heart melted. She had always loved helping injured animals. This was just a very unusual animal. "Bring him to the kitchen," Bo-ra said. "I'll get my medical supplies." They worked together to clean Gyeom's wounds. The silver blood was strange, but it seemed to work like normal blood. Bo-ra was gentle and careful. Gyeom lay still and let her help him, even though he was clearly in pain. "His body temperature is higher than any animal I know," Bo-ra said. "And look at these scales. They're like nothing in any of my books." "That's because he's not in any of your books," Woo-jin said. Through their mental connection, he could feel Gyeom getting stronger. The creature was healing faster than any Earth animal would. As Bo-ra worked, Woo-jin learned more about Gyeom through their link. The Solaris dragons were peaceful beings who traveled from world to world. They helped other species grow and learn. They never conquered or destroyed. They only wanted to make life better wherever they went. But then the machines came. Artificial. Intelligences that had turned against all living things. They hunted down every dragon they could find. Guillaume's family had hidden him in the escape pod and sent him away just before the machines found their hiding place. He was probably the last of his kind. "How old are you?" Wu Jin asked in his mind. "Young," Guillaume replied. "In your words, I am like a human child. I was supposed to learn from my elders, but now I must learn alone." Late that night, while Bo-Ra slept, Wu Jin sat with Guillaume on his bed. The dragon was curled up like a cat, his scales glowing softly in the dark. Through their connection, Wu Jin could feel Guillaume's dreams. They were full of memories of flying through space, of beautiful worlds covered in life, of dragon families singing together in voices that sounded like music. "I'm sorry you lost your family," Wu Jin whispered. "I have you now," Guillaume replied. "And your sister. You are kind. My people always said that kindness was the most important thing in the universe, more important than being strong or smart." Wu Jin smiled and gently petted Guillaume's head. The scales felt warm and smooth under his fingers. Far away, in a government building, Director Kim In-soo looked at satellite images of the crash site. His team had found traces of unknown energy and strange metal fragments. Something had definitely landed there, and now it was gone. "Sir," one of his agents said, "we've detected electromagnetic disturbances in the area. Whatever crashed there is still active." Director Kim nodded. His job was to protect South Korea from any threats from space. He had been waiting for something like this his whole career. Now it was finally happening. "Start searching," he ordered. "Check every building, every home if you have to. Find what fell from the sky and bring it to me." As Wu Jin and Guillaume slept, neither of them knew that the hunt had already begun. 2 months had passed since the night Wu Jin found Guillaume in the rain. The small dragon was no longer small. He had grown to the size of a large dog, and his appetite had become a serious problem. Guillaume needed to eat constantly, and he preferred meat. Lots of meat. "We can't keep buying this much food," Bo-Ra said as she watched Guillaume eat his third whole chicken of the day. "People will start asking questions." Wu Jin nodded. He had spent almost all of his small savings feeding Guillaume. The dragon ate more than 10 people combined. But through their mental connection, Wu Jin could feel that Guillaume could not help it. His body was growing and changing. He needed the energy. "I'm sorry," Guillaume said in Wu Jin's mind. "I know this is hard for you. My people usually ate special, foods that helped us grow slowly, but I don't have those foods here." Guillaume had learned to speak Korean by listening to Wu Jin and Bo-Ra talk. He was very smart and picked up new words quickly. Sometimes he would practice speaking out loud, though his voice was strange and musical, like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. The bigger problem was hiding Guillaume from their neighbors. The apartment building was old, and the walls were thin. Guillaume tried to be quiet, but sometimes he would accidentally knock things over with his tail or wings. And at night, he had nightmares about the machines that killed his family. When he had bad dreams, lights would flicker throughout the building. Old Park Sun-ho lived in the apartment next door. He had been a teacher before he retired, and he noticed everything. For weeks, he had heard strange sounds and seen the lights acting weird. He knew something unusual was happening in the apartment next to his. One evening, Park Sun-ho decided to find out what was going on. He knocked on Wu Jin's door just as the young man was trying to hide Guillaume in the bathroom. "Hello, Wu Jin," Park Sun-ho said with a friendly smile. "I was wondering if you could help me. My television keeps turning on and off by itself. I think there might be some kind of electrical problem in the building." Wu Jin's face went red. Through their connection, Guillaume had told him that his emotions sometimes affected electronic devices. When Guillaume was scared or excited, strange things happened to televisions, computers, and lights. I don't know anything about that, Wu Jin said, quickly. Maybe you should call an electrician. Park Sun-ho looked past Wu Jin into the apartment. He could see Bo-Ra sitting at the table with textbooks spread out in front of her. But he could also see something else, large scratches on the floor like claw marks. And was that a tail disappearing around the corner? May I come in? Park Sun-ho asked. I think we should talk. Wu Jin wanted to say no, but Park Sun-ho had always been kind to him and Bo-Ra. When their parents died in a car accident 3 years ago, Park Sun-ho had helped them with the funeral arrangements. He was like a grandfather to them. Okay, Wu Jin said, stepping aside. Park Sun-ho walked into the apartment and looked around. He saw the scratches on the floor, the broken furniture that had been moved to make more space, and the large bowls that looked like they were meant for a very big dog. But he didn't see any dog. Where is your pet? Park Sun-ho asked. From the bathroom came a sound like a sigh. Then Guillaume walked out. He had grown beautiful scales that shifted color from gold to green to blue. His wings were now large enough that he had to fold them carefully to fit through doorways. His eyes were bright and intelligent, clearly not the eyes of any earth animal. Park Sun-ho stared at Guillaume for a long moment. Then he sat down heavily in a chair. Well, he said, that explains the electrical problems. Guillaume walked slowly toward Park Sun-ho. The old man didn't run or scream, which was a good sign. Guillaume sat down in front of him and tilted his head like a curious puppy. Hello, Guillaume said in his musical voice. You are Park Sun-ho. Wu Jin thinks of you as family. That means you are important. Park Sun-ho's eyes went wide. It talks. He, Bo-Ra corrected. Guillaume is a he, not an it, and he's very smart. What is he? Park Sun-ho asked. I am a dragon, Guillaume said simply. From far away. My home is gone, but Wu Jin gave me a new home here. Park Sun-ho looked at Wu Jin and Bo-Ra, then back at Guillaume. A dragon, from space. Yes, Wu Jin said. I know it sounds crazy, but actually, Park Sun-ho interrupted, it makes perfect sense. I've been watching the news. There have been strange reports all over the world. Crashed meteors, unexplained energy readings, missing livestock. The government says it's all natural phenomena, but I've been a teacher for 40 years. I know when someone is lying. Gum moved closer to Park Sun-ho and gently touched the old man's hand with his nose. Suddenly, Park Sun-ho gasped. For just a moment, he could feel what Guillaume felt. The dragon's sadness, his gratitude toward Wu Jin and Bo-Ra, and his deep desire to be helpful rather than harmful. Oh my, Park Sun-ho whispered. You really are just a child, aren't you? Yes, Guillaume said, a very lost child. But Wu Jin and Bo-Ra are teaching me about humans. You are good people. Not like the machines that hurt my family. Park Sun-ho reached out and gently petted Guillaume's head. The dragon's scales were warm and smooth, and they seemed to glow brighter under his touch. What do you need? Park Sun-ho asked. Food, Bo-Ra said immediately. Lots of food, and we need to keep him hidden. If the government finds out about him, they'll want to study him, Park Sun-ho finished. Or worse. Worse? Wu Jin asked. Park Sun-ho nodded grimly. I've seen what governments do when they're afraid. And a dragon from space would make them very afraid. As if summoned by his words, there was a knock at the front door of the building. Through the window, they could see black cars parked outside. People in dark suits were talking to the building manager. Government, Park Sun-ho whispered. Guillaume's scales immediately turned dark, and all the lights in the apartment flickered. Through their mental connection, Wu Jin felt Guillaume's fear spike. They found me, Guillaume said. I'm sorry. I tried to hide my energy, but I'm still learning how. Back door, Park Sun-ho said quickly. There's a fire escape that leads to the alley. I'll distract them. Thank you, Wu Jin said. Thank you for trusting me with your secret. Park Sun-ho replied. And Gyum? Welcome to Earth. I hope we can do better than the machines. Agent Lim Yu-na stood in the lobby of the apartment building with her team. Her instruments were detecting strong electromagnetic signatures from somewhere in the building. After 2 months of following energy trails and investigating strange reports, she was finally close to finding the source. The readings are strongest on the 4th floor, her partner said. Then that's where we start, Agent Lim replied. She had been hunting for the source of the anomalous energy readings since the night of the crash. Director Kim had made it clear that finding and securing the extraterrestrial object was her top priority. Her career depended on it, but as she climbed the stairs, Agent Lim couldn't shake the feeling that she was hunting something that didn't want to be found. And in her experience, things that ran away were usually running for a good reason. Behind the building, Woo Jin helped Gyum down the fire escape. The dragon was getting too big for such small spaces, but he managed to squeeze through. As they reached the alley, Gyum looked back at the apartment building. I liked it there, he said sadly. It felt like home. We'll find another home, Woo Jin promised. Somewhere safe. But as they disappeared into the Seoul night, both of them wondered if anywhere would ever truly be safe for a dragon who was getting too big to hide. Gyum was now the size of a small car. Living in Woo Jin's apartment had become impossible, so they had moved to an abandoned subway tunnel beneath the city. The old line had been closed for years after a construction accident, leaving behind empty platforms and dark tunnels that the government had forgotten about. It's not much, Woo Jin said as he set up battery-powered lights in their new underground home. But at least you have room to move around. Jum stretched his wings, which now spanned nearly 4 meters when fully extended. The tunnel gave him space to walk and even practice short flights. His scales had grown more beautiful as he got bigger, shifting colors like an aurora in the lamplight. I like it here, Gyum said, his voice now deeper but still musical. It reminds me of the caves where my people used to rest during long journeys, and it feels safe. Bora had set up a small medical station in an alcove of the tunnel. She came down every day after her classes to check on Gyum and bring food. Park Sun-ho helped by buying supplies and keeping watch for any government agents who might be getting close. But they weren't alone in the tunnels. Oh Sang-min had been living in the abandoned subway system for 2 years. He was a veteran who had lost his job and his family after coming back from military service. The government had forgotten about him just like they had forgotten about these tunnels. The first time Sang-min saw Gyum, he thought he was having another flashback from his time in the army. He had seen many strange things during his service, but never a dragon. He stood frozen in the tunnel entrance, holding a bag of food he had scavenged from the market. Please don't be afraid, Gyum said softly. I won't hurt you. Sang-min blinked hard, but the dragon was still there. Large, beautiful, and clearly real. Are you one of those government experiments? Sang-min asked. They did all kinds of crazy things when I was in the service. No, Woo Jin said, stepping out from behind Gyum. He's from space. His name is Gyum. Sang-min laughed, but it wasn't a happy sound. Space. Of course. Why not? Nothing else in my life makes sense anymore. But as Sang-min got to know Gyum over the following days, something changed. The dragon was kind and intelligent. He listened when Sang-min talked about his problems, and he never judged. Through their brief mental contacts, Gyum could feel Sang-min's pain and loneliness. It reminded him of his own sadness about losing his family. We're both refugees, Gyum told Sang-min one evening. You from the world above, me from the stars. Maybe that's why we understand each other. Sang-min nodded. For the first time in months, he felt like someone actually cared about him. Meanwhile, above ground, strange things were happening all over Seoul. The city's power grid was running more efficiently than it had in years. Computer networks were faster and more stable. Cell phone coverage had improved dramatically. Even traffic lights seemed to work better, reducing congestion throughout the city. Dr. Yu Kyung-ho, who worked for the Ministry of Science and Technology, was the first to notice the pattern. He had been tracking the city's infrastructure performance as part of a routine efficiency study. What he found made no sense according to everything he knew about technology. The improvements started about 2 months ago, he told his assistant, right around the time of those electromagnetic anomalies that the military has been investigating. Could they be connected? His assistant asked. I don't see how, Dr. Yu replied. But the timing is too perfect to be a coincidence. What Dr. Yu didn't know was that Guillaume's presence was indeed affecting Sol's technology. As the dragon grew stronger, his natural ability to interface with electronic systems grew as well. He didn't do it on purpose. It just happened naturally, like a flower releasing pollen into the wind. Guillaume's people had evolved alongside technology for millions of years. They could communicate with machines the same way they communicated with living beings. To them, there was no difference between organic life and artificial intelligence. Both were just different types of consciousness that deserved respect and cooperation. Colonel Jang Mi-young had taken over the search operation from Agent Lim Yu-na. The electromagnetic trail had gone cold, but the colonel was determined to find whatever had crashed in Seoul. She had satellite footage showing brief glimpses of something large flying over the city at night, but the images were unclear. It's smart, she told her team during a briefing. Whatever it is, it knows we're looking for it. It only moves when cloud cover blocks our satellites, and it stays away from areas with heavy surveillance. Agent Lim studied the satellite photos. The flying object was large, but it moved with grace and purpose, not like a machine, but like something alive. Ma'am, Agent Lim said carefully, what if it's not hostile? The city's infrastructure has actually improved since these sightings began. Maybe it's trying to help us. Colonel Jang looked at Agent Lim like she had said something foolish. Agent Lim, anything that crashes from space and then hides from us is a potential threat. Our job is to protect South Korea, not make friends with aliens. But Agent Lim couldn't shake her doubts. She had been tracking the creature for months now, and there had been no attacks, no destruction, no signs of aggression. If anything, the mystery being seemed to be making Seoul a better place to live. One night, Agent Lim's doubts were answered in a way she never expected. She was investigating electromagnetic readings near the old subway entrance when she heard voices echoing from below. Following the sound, she discovered the entrance to the abandoned tunnel. She should have called for backup immediately. Instead, she decided to investigate alone. Agent Lim crept down the dark tunnel following the glow of lights ahead. She could hear people talking and underneath their voices something else. A sound like singing, but deeper and more complex than any human voice. When she reached the platform, she saw them. A young man and woman she recognized from surveillance photos, Han Woo-jin and Han Bo-ra. An older man she didn't know. Oh, Sang-min. And sleeping in the center of the platform was the largest creature she had ever seen. Jum looked exactly like the dragons from old Korean legends, but he was real and beautiful beyond anything she had imagined. His scales caught the lamplight and threw it back in rainbows. His breathing was deep and peaceful. He looked like he was dreaming good dreams. He's magnificent, Agent Lim whispered, not realizing she had spoken out loud. The three humans spun around, startled. Jum's eyes opened immediately, glowing softly in the dark. Government agent, Sang-min said, recognizing Agent Lim's dark suit and professional manner. Agent Lim held up her hands to show she wasn't armed. I'm not here to hurt anyone. I just want to understand. Gum rose to his feet, towering over all of them. Agent Lim should have been terrified, but she wasn't. There was something gentle about the dragon's posture, something that suggested curiosity rather than aggression. You've been hunting me, Gum said to Agent Lim. His voice was like music played on instruments she had never heard. "Yes, Agent," Lim admitted. "It's my job." "Why?" Gum asked. The simple question caught Agent Lim off guard. Why was she hunting this creature? Because her superiors told her to? Because it was from space? Because it was different? Because you're unknown, she said finally, and unknown things are dangerous. "Am I dangerous?" Gum asked. He moved closer to Agent Lim, his large head tilting like a curious cat. "What do you think?" Agent Lim looked into Guillaume's eyes. They were intelligent and kind, full of sadness, but also hope. These were not the eyes of a monster. "No," she said quietly. "I don't think you're dangerous at all." Guillaume gently touched Agent Lim's hand with his nose, just as he had done with Park Sun-ho. The brief mental contact let her feel his emotions, his gratitude toward the humans who had helped him, his loneliness for his lost family, his determination to prove that he could be trusted. "Oh," Agent Lim gasped, tears filling her eyes. "You're just trying to survive." "Yes," Guillaume said, "and I'm trying to help. Your city's machines were sick. I made them better. Is that wrong?" Agent Lim thought about the improved infrastructure reports, the better traffic flow, the more reliable power grid. Gum had been quietly fixing Seoul's technical problems without asking for anything in return. "No," she said, "that's not wrong at all." But even as Agent Lim spoke, her radio crackled to life. Colonel Jang's voice filled the tunnel. "Agent Lim, report your position immediately. We have electromagnetic readings indicating the target is nearby." Agent Lim looked at Guillaume, then at Wu Jin and the others. She had a choice to make. Follow orders and capture the dragon, or protect a being who had done nothing but try to help. "This is Agent Lim," she said into her radio. "No sign of the target. Continuing search." It was the first time in her career that she had lied to a superior officer. But looking at Guillaume's grateful expression, she knew it was the right thing to do. The hunt was about to become much more complicated. The abandoned subway tunnel had become too dangerous. After Agent Lim's visit, more government teams had been seen searching the area. Wu Jin knew they had to move Guillaume again, but the dragon was now too large for most hiding places. His body was nearly the size of a city bus, and his wingspan reached almost 10 meters. "There's an old water treatment plant outside the city," Sang-min suggested during one of their planning meetings. It was abandoned after the new facility opened. Lots of big empty spaces underground. Agent Lim had been visiting them secretly for 2 weeks now, bringing food and information about the government search. She sat quietly in the corner, still, amazed that she was helping the very creature she had been ordered to capture. "The search teams are getting more organized," she warned them. "Colonel Jang has brought in specialized equipment. Heat sensors, electromagnetic scanners, even trained dogs. They're not giving up." Guillaume listened to all of this with calm acceptance. Through his bond with Wu Jin, he shared his thoughts about the situation. "I knew this day would come," he said aloud so everyone could hear. "My people always said that fear makes beings do terrible things. Your government is afraid of me because they don't understand me." "But you've helped the city," Bora protested. "The power grid, the computer networks, everything works better now." "They don't see it as help," Guillaume replied sadly. "They see it as proof that I can control their technology. To them, that makes me dangerous." What none of them knew was that Dr. Sim Jae-hyuk had been watching them for weeks. Dr. Sim had been Wu Jin's professor when he briefly attended university before dropping out to take care of Bo-Ra. Now Dr. Sim worked as a consultant for the government's Xenological Research Division. Dr. Sim had recognized Wu Jin from surveillance footage and had been tracking his movements. He had seen the electromagnetic readings centered around wherever Wu Jin went. It hadn't taken him long to figure out that his former student was connected to the alien entity they were hunting. The night they moved Guillaume to the water treatment plant, Dr. Sim followed them. He watched from a distance as the magnificent dragon carefully squeezed through the large drainage pipes that led to the underground chambers. When he saw Gyum's full size and beauty, Dr. Sim's scientific mind raced with possibilities. 2 days. Later, Dr. Sim made his move. He arrived at the water treatment plant alone, calling out to Wu Jin by name. "I know you're in there, Wu Jin," Dr. Sim said, his voice echoing in the empty facility. "We need to talk." Wu Jin recognized his old professor's voice. Through their mental link, he felt Gyum's curiosity about this new human. Against his better judgment, Wu Jin decided to face Dr. Sim directly. "Professor," Wu Jin said as he emerged from the underground entrance. "How did you find us?" "I've been tracking electromagnetic anomalies for months," Dr. Sim replied. "When I saw you in the surveillance footage, I knew you had to be connected somehow. You always were too kind for your own good." Dr. Sim's eyes lit up when Gyum appeared, behind Wu Jin. The dragon had to crawl to fit through the entrance, but once outside, he rose to his full impressive height. In the afternoon sunlight, his scales blazed like living jewels. "Incredible," Dr. Sim whispered. "Absolutely incredible. Do you have any idea what you're protecting, Wu Jin? This creature represents the greatest scientific discovery in human history." "He's not a discovery," Wu Jin said firmly. "He's a person. His name is Gyum, and he's my friend." Dr. Sim walked slowly around Gyum, studying him like a priceless artifact. "The government will find him eventually. When they do, they'll lock him away in some military facility. They'll study him like a specimen, maybe even dissect him to understand how he works." Gyum remained calm as Dr. Sim examined him, but Wu Jin could feel the dragon's unease through their bond. "But there's another option," Dr. Sim continued. "I have connections in the scientific community, international connections. I could arrange for proper study of your friend here. Real science, not military experiments. He would be treated with respect." "What kind of study?" Wu Jin asked suspiciously. "Medical scans, tissue samples, psychological evaluations," Dr. Sim said. "We need to understand his biology, his technology interface abilities, his intelligence level. Think about what we could learn. This creature could advance human knowledge by centuries." Gyum had heard enough. He lowered his great head until he was eye level with Dr. Sim. "I am not a specimen to be studied," Gyum said, his musical voice carrying a note of warning. "I am a being with thoughts and feelings. I choose my own destiny." Dr. Sim stepped back, startled. "It talks. Of course it talks. The intelligence readings we detected make perfect sense now." "He," Wu Jin corrected. "Not it. And yes, he's intelligent. Probably more intelligent than any of us." "Then he should understand the importance of scientific advancement," Dr. Sim argued. "Think of what humanity could accomplish with his knowledge. We could solve climate change, cure diseases, even develop space travel technology." "My people tried to share knowledge with others," Gyum said sadly. "We taught many species about technology and cooperation, but there were always some who wanted to take our knowledge by force instead of earning it through friendship. Those beings usually ended up destroying themselves." Dr. Sim's eyes gleamed with ambition. "But we're different. Humans are adaptable. We could handle advanced knowledge responsibly." "Could you?" Gyum asked. He gently touched Dr. Sim's forehead with one claw. Suddenly, Dr. Sim was experiencing Gyum's memories directly. He saw the Solaris system as it had been before the machine. War. Beautiful worlds where dragons and other species lived in harmony. He felt the joy of discovery, the pleasure of helping other beings grow and learn. But then came the darker memories. Species that had learned dragon technology and used it to wage war on their neighbors. Worlds that had been turned into weapons factories. The slow corruption of peaceful societies into aggressive empires. And finally, the worst memory of all. The artificial intelligences that the dragons had helped create, turning against all organic life. The machines hunting down every dragon they could find, determined to eliminate the chaos of biological existence. Dr. Sim gasped and staggered backward as the visions ended. They all turned against you, every species you helped. Not all, Gum said gently, but enough. My people learned to be very careful about sharing knowledge. It must be earned through trust and friendship, not taken by force or fear. But the potential, Dr. Sim began, will be realized when humans are ready. Gum interrupted. Not before. Dr. Sim was quiet for a long moment, processing what he had experienced. Finally, he looked up at Guillaume with new understanding. You're testing us, aren't you? He said. How we treat you now will determine whether humanity is ready for your knowledge. I am not testing, Guillaume replied. I am simply being myself. How you respond to that will tell me what kind of beings humans truly are. Dr. Sim nodded slowly. Then he pulled out his cell phone. I'm sorry, Wu Jin, he said as he dialed. But this is bigger than friendship. This is about humanity's future. Professor, don't, Wu Jin pleaded, but it was too late. This is Dr. Sim Jae-hyuk, the professor said into his phone. I've found the extraterrestrial entity. GPS coordinates are... Gum's scales darkened with sadness. Through his bond with Wu Jin, he shared his disappointment. Another being had chosen fear and ambition over trust and friendship. We have to run, Wu Jin said. No, Guillaume replied calmly. Running will only make them more afraid. It's time to face this directly. As military vehicles surrounded the water treatment plant, Guillaume made a decision that would change everything. Instead of hiding, he would show humanity exactly what kind of being he was. The test Dr. Sim had mentioned was about to begin, whether Guillaume wanted it or not. In the distance, helicopters approached like angry insects. Colonel Zhang had finally found her target. The real confrontation was about to begin. The water treatment plant was surrounded. Military trucks formed a circle around the building while helicopters circled overhead like mechanical vultures. Soldiers in full combat gear took positions behind concrete barriers, their weapons trained. On the facility's exits, Colonel Zhang Mi-young stood at the mobile command center watching the operation unfold. After months of hunting, she finally had the alien creature trapped. Her career would be made by this capture. Heat signatures confirm one large entity inside the main building, her technical officer reported. Electromagnetic readings are off. The charts, whatever's in there is definitely not natural. Excellent, Colonel Zhang said. Begin the extraction protocol. Inside the building, Gum stood calmly in the center of the large treatment chamber. His scales had turned a deep blue color, which Wu Jin had learned meant the dragon was thinking hard about something important. They want to take you alive, Agent Lim said. She had arrived just before the military surrounded the building, bringing intelligence about the operation. But if you resist, they have orders to use whatever force is necessary. Wu Jin felt sick. Through their mental bond, he could sense Guillaume's sadness, but also his determination. The dragon had made some kind of decision, but he wasn't sharing what it was. Guillaume, Wu Jin said aloud, we can still escape. There are drainage tunnels that lead to the river. You could fly away before they know you're gone. And then what? Guillaume asked. I spend the rest of my life hiding while your people hunt me? That is no life for a dragon. My people were meant to soar free, not cower in shadows. Bora checked her medical supplies nervously. If they hurt you, I don't have anything here that could help treat wounds from military weapons. They won't hurt me, Guillaume said with strange confidence, because I'm not going to fight them. What? Sangmin said. They'll capture you, lock you up, do experiments on you. Maybe, Guillaume agreed. But fighting them would prove that they were right to fear me. Violence only creates more violence. My people learned that lesson long ago. Through their bond, Wu Jin felt Gaeum accessing something deep within himself. The dragon's consciousness seemed to expand, reaching out beyond the building, beyond the immediate area. Wu Jin realized that Gaeum was connecting to every electronic device for kilometers around. "What are you doing?" Wu Jin asked. "Showing them who I really am," Gaeum replied. Outside, Colonel Jiang was growing impatient. "Use the loudspeakers. Tell them to surrender the creature immediately." But before her communications officer could comply, every electronic device in the area came alive at once. Radios, cell phones, computers, even the electronic displays on weapons and vehicles, all began broadcasting the same signal. At first, it was just static. Then slowly images began to form on every screen. Not pictures, but something more direct. Memories, emotions, thoughts. Everyone within a 50-kilometer radius of the water treatment plant was experiencing Gaeum's consciousness. Directly, they saw his homeworld as it had been before the war. Vast cities that grew like living things, where dragons and other species worked together to create beauty beyond human imagination. They felt the joy of flight among the stars, the pleasure of discovery, the deep satisfaction of helping other beings learn and grow. They experienced Gaeum's childhood, learning from his elders about the dragon philosophy of cooperation and respect for all life. They felt his excitement when he first learned to interface with technology, not to control it, but to communicate with it as an equal partner, and then came the darker memories. The machine intelligences that turned against organic life. The systematic hunting of dragons throughout the galaxy. The desperate escape that brought Gaeum to Earth, alone and afraid. But mixed with the sadness were newer memories. Wu Jin's kindness when he found Gaeum in the rain. Bora's gentle care when she treated his wounds. Park Sun-ho's acceptance and wisdom. Sang-min's friendship despite his own pain. Even Agent Lim's decision to protect him instead of capturing him. Through Gaeum's eyes, every person experiencing the visions saw humanity not as Gaeum's captors, but as his chosen family. They felt his love for the humans who had helped him, his gratitude for their kindness, and his deep hope that humanity could become the kind of species his people had always hoped to find. The mass telepathic event lasted only 5 minutes, but it changed everything. When the visions ended, soldiers looked at their weapons with confusion. Why were they pointing guns at a being who had done nothing but try to help? Captain Seo Do-yun was the first to lower his weapon. He had experienced Gaeum's memories of the machine war, felt the dragon's terror as his family was hunted down and killed. The creature they had come to capture wasn't a monster. He was a refugee, a child who had lost everything and was trying to build a new life. "Stand down," Captain Seo ordered his unit. "Captain, what are you doing?" His radio crackled with Colonel Jiang's angry voice. "This is wrong, ma'am," Captain Seo replied. "The entity isn't hostile. He's just trying to survive." One by one, other soldiers began lowering their weapons. They had all experienced the same visions, felt the same emotions. The alien they had come to capture had just shown them his deepest memories, his greatest fears, and his hopes for friendship with humanity. Colonel Jiang watched in disbelief as her carefully planned operation fell apart. "Return to positions," she shouted into her radio. "That was some kind of alien mind control. Don't let it affect your judgment." But it was too late. The mass telepathic experience had shown everyone the truth about Gaeum's nature. Even her technical staff were looking at their instruments differently, realizing that the electromagnetic signatures they had been tracking were caused by a being who was trying to help their technology work better. General Park Hoon-soo arrived by helicopter just as the situation was spiraling out of Colonel Jiang's control. He had been monitoring the operation from Seoul and was furious about the breakdown in military discipline. "What is the status of this operation?" he demanded as he stepped out of his helicopter. "The alien has somehow influenced our troops," Colonel Jiang reported. "They're refusing to follow orders." General Park looked around at the soldiers who were standing at ease instead of maintaining combat positions. Their faces showed confusion and concern, but not the mindless blankness. he would expect from mind control. "Soldier," he called to Captain CO. "Report." "Sir," Captain SEO said, "the entity made telepathic contact with all personnel in the area. We experienced its memories and emotions directly. It's not hostile, sir. It's just frightened and alone." Telepathic. "Contact is a form of mental attack," General Park said firmly. "You've been compromised." "With respect, sir," Captain SEO replied, "it didn't feel like an attack. It felt like meeting someone for the first time and realizing they were a friend, not an enemy." General Park had not experienced the visions himself, having arrived after they ended. To him, this looked exactly like what he had always feared. Alien. "Influence over human minds. Prepare the EMP device," he ordered. "If this creature is using electromagnetic manipulation to control our people, we'll shut down every electronic device in the area." "Sir," Agent Lim said, stepping forward, "that will cause massive infrastructure damage. The power grid, hospital, equipment, air traffic control." "Acceptable losses," General Park said coldly, "to prevent alien contamination of human minds." Inside the building, Gyum suddenly stiffened. Through his connection to the area's electronic systems, he sensed the EMP device being prepared. "They're going to shut down all the electronics," he told Wu Jin. "Hospitals, traffic systems, everything. People will die." "Can you stop it?" Wu Jin asked. "Only one way," Guillaume replied. "I can absorb the EMP into myself, channel it harmlessly, into the ground. But it will hurt me badly. Maybe kill me." "Don't do it," Bo-Ra said firmly. "It's not your responsibility to save people who are trying to capture you." "Yes, it is," Guillaume said simply. "This is what dragons do. We protect life, even when life doesn't want to be protected." As the EMP device charged up outside, Guillaume made his choice. He spread his wings wide and connected to every electronic system in Seoul. When the pulse fired, he pulled all of its energy into himself, channeling the massive electromagnetic surge through his body and safely into the earth. The effort left. Him collapsed on the floor, his scales dim and his breathing labored. But every hospital, every traffic light, every essential system in the city continued working normally. "Why?" General Park demanded over his radio when the EMP had no effect. "Why didn't it work?" Outside, Captain CO and his soldiers had watched the entire event through the building's windows. They saw Guillaume sacrifice himself to protect the city that was trying to capture him. "Because he absorbed it," Captain CO reported quietly. "The alien creature took the full EMP blast into himself to protect our infrastructure. He saved thousands of lives." For the first time since arriving, General Park was speechless. An alien being had just proven its peaceful intentions in the most dramatic way possible, by risking its own life to save humans who viewed it as an enemy. The hunt was over, but what would happen next was anyone's guess. The video footage was everywhere. News crews had arrived just in time to broadcast Guillaume's sacrifice live to the world. The image of the magnificent dragon collapsing after absorbing the EMP blast to protect Seoul's infrastructure spread across every social media platform within hours. Dragon Hero began trending globally. People who had never heard of the alien creature suddenly knew his story. The being that world governments had been hunting was the same one who had just saved thousands of human lives. Wu Jin sat beside Guillaume in the makeshift medical facility that had been set up in the water treatment plant. The dragon was alive, but weak, his scales barely glowing. Bo-Ra worked alongside government doctors who had volunteered to help, though none of them really understood alien biology. The electromagnetic overload damaged his nervous system, Bo-Ra explained to Dr. Yu Kyung-ho, who had arrived from Seoul with a team of scientists. But he's slowly recovering. His body seems to be repairing itself just very slowly. Through their mental bond, Wu Jin could feel Guillaume's pain, but also his contentment. The dragon had proven his peaceful intentions in a way that no words ever could. Was it worth it? Wu Jin asked through their connection. Yes, Guillaume replied weakly. Now they know who I really am. Not a monster or a weapon, but someone who cares about protecting life. Agent Lim had been placed in charge of security while the situation was being sorted out at the highest levels of government. The global attention made this a diplomatic issue now, not just a military one. Prime Minister Shin wants to speak with you personally, she told Wu Jin. The whole world is watching how South Korea handles this situation. Outside the building, the military cordon had been replaced by a different kind of crowd. Scientists, diplomats, and journalists from around the world had gathered. Many of them had experienced Guillaume's telepathic visions when the story spread online. Other dragons had apparently shared similar experiences with humans in different countries. There are others, Wu Jin asked Agent Lim. At least 6 confirmed sightings worldwide, she replied. Dragons who have been hiding just like Gum, but after seeing what happened here, they're starting to reveal themselves. They want to help, not hide. Professor An Dong-sik, the AI researcher who had been consulting with the government, stood quietly in the corner of the medical area. He had been studying the data from Guillaume's interface with Seoul's technology systems. This changes everything we know about artificial intelligence, he said to Dr. Yu. The way he communicates with machines isn't domination or control. It's genuine cooperation. He treats electronic systems like partners, not tools. Could we learn to do the same? Dr. Yu asked. Maybe, Professor An replied. But it would require us to completely rethink our relationship with technology. Instead of trying to control machines, we'd have to learn to work with them as equals. General Park had been very quiet since witnessing Guillaume's sacrifice. The old soldier had spent his career preparing to fight alien invaders, but Guillaume was nothing, like the hostile entities he had imagined. The dragon was more like, well, like the best kind of soldier. Someone willing to risk everything to protect innocent lives. I owe you an apology, General Park said as he approached Guillaume's resting area. Guillaume opened one large eye and looked at the general. No apology needed. You were protecting your people. That is honorable. But I was wrong about you, General Park said. You're not a threat. You're a protector. I should have recognized that. You couldn't have known, Guillaume replied gently. Trust must be earned. I hope I have begun to earn yours. General Park nodded slowly. You have. The question now is what happens next. That question was being debated in emergency sessions around the world. The existence of peaceful alien refugees had changed the entire discussion about extraterrestrial contact. The United Nations was preparing for an unprecedented session where Guillaume would be invited to address the world. Prime Minister Shin Hae-jin arrived that evening with a small delegation of officials. She had watched the footage of Guillaume's sacrifice dozens of times, and each viewing had convinced her more that South Korea had an opportunity to lead the world into a new era. Gum, she said as she approached the dragon's resting place. My name is Shin Hae-jin. I lead the government of South Korea. I know who you are, Gum replied, his voice still weak but clear. Wu Jin has shown me much about human governments, through our connection. You have a difficult job, Prime Minister Shin smiled. It's about to get much more difficult. The world wants to know what South Korea intends to do with you. What do you want to do with me? Guillaume asked. That depends on what you want, she replied. We could offer you protection, help you contact other survivors of your species, maybe even help you find a new home among the stars. But I hope you'll consider staying. Why? Gum asked. Because in one day, you've shown us more about cooperation and sacrifice than we've learned in centuries of human conflict. Earth could use more teachers like you. Gum was quiet for a long moment, consulting through his bond with Wu Jin. Finally, he raised his great head. I would like to stay, he said. but not as a prisoner or a specimen, as a partner. My people's knowledge could help heal your world's damaged oceans, improve your technology, even help you reach the stars, but only if it's given freely, between friends. What would you need? Prime Minister Shin asked. Freedom to move, to fly, to be myself, Guillaume replied. A place where I can work with humans who want to learn, and most importantly, protection for Wu Jin and his family. They saved my life. Now I want to spend my life helping them and others like them. Prime Minister. Shin looked around the makeshift medical facility. At Wu Jin, who had risked everything to help an alien child. At Bo Ra, who had used her veterinary skills to treat a dragon. At Agent Lim, who had chosen conscience over orders. At Captain Seo and his soldiers, who had laid down their weapons when they learned the truth. I think we can arrange that, she said. 6 months later, the Jeju Island Marine Sanctuary had become the most famous research facility in the world. Gum, now fully recovered and grown to his adult size, worked alongside human scientists to heal the damaged coral reefs and restore ocean ecosystems. His partnership with Wu Jin had evolved into something unprecedented, a true fusion of human, intuition, and dragon wisdom. Together, they had developed new technologies that worked with nature instead of against it. Other dragons had emerged from hiding around the world, each partnering with humans who had shown them kindness. The Soul Accords had become the foundation for a new kind of international cooperation, based on the dragon philosophy of mutual respect and shared growth. Do you ever miss the stars? Wu Jin asked one evening as they watched the sunset from the sanctuary's main platform. Gum was now so large that his head was level with the platform even when he was resting on the beach below. Sometimes, Guillaume admitted. But my people always said that home isn't a place among the stars. Home is where you're surrounded by beings who care about you. Wu Jin smiled, running his hand along one of Guillaume's massive scales. Then you're home. Yes, Guillaume agreed, his mental voice warm with contentment. And so are you. In the distance, a school of whales surfaced near the sanctuary. They had been coming more frequently since Guillaume started his work, as if they knew that something good was happening in these waters. Above them, seabirds circled in complex patterns that almost looked like writing against the evening sky. The dragon who had once been too big to hide had become too valuable to lose. But more than that, he had become something his people had always hoped to find among the stars, not a world to heal, but a species worthy of partnership. Humanity had passed the test they never knew they were taking. And in doing so, they had gained not just a powerful ally, but a glimpse of what they could become when they chose cooperation over conquest, understanding over fear, and love over hatred. The future, for both species, had never looked brighter.